and welcome back to my channel. Today I am sitting down with you and doing my makeup. I've got a wedding on this afternoon and I'm in Edinburgh of all places, staying in a castle which is magnificent. It was created in the 17th century and it is a beautiful Victorian inspired castle. It has been renovated and it is just absolutely gorgeous. So it feels like a very private experience here. And it's just really nice to have the night when we flew in last night and just relax a little bit. We've had this beautiful breakfast out the front and it's just a great way to step into Scotland. So I wanted to share with you some of the things that I've done to prepare for a wedding. What is the correct etiquette to have at a wedding? I thought I'd share that with you as well. And I also wanted to talk a little bit about Bridgerton, the latest season, and how I found the series altogether, because it is a bit of a controversial one and I thought I'd discuss some of that. So stay tuned, give this video a little like, and I'll see you in a bit. My hair's in these rollers. It looks a little bit crazy, but these are the best way to heatlessly curl your hair during the night. So I have quite a few of them in there and I just sleep with them, and then the next day I can take them out and it presents these beautiful curls, which you can definitely rock straight away. So I do love that. But anyway, I'm going to do my makeup first. So in London, I did go to afternoon tea at Savoy in London, which was really fantastic. Really enjoyed the atmosphere, had such a great time there. It's one of the best that I've been to in London for many reasons, not just the atmosphere. I really just think that the afternoon tea is like at a very high standard. So I was looking for a few dresses and I managed to find one, and it's by an Australian brand actually. The brand is called Aj, and I decided that I was going to go a little bit different this time for the wedding, and I really do love the design of it. It has this kind of old, puffy sort of wedding vibe, but what I love is that the material is like this satiny sort of see-through blend. So it looks like a teal skirt. I think that it's very appropriate to wear. I did kind of think I was going to be a little bit cold and I didn't bring a shawl of anything, but today is just so lovely in Scotland, so hopefully it just holds up a little bit as well. But yeah, so I decided to go for this one and I'm very happy with it. But anyway, so we got an invite a few months ago, so we just RSVP'd. There's a lunch tomorrow as well, which we may attend. And we'll just have to see with timing, because we did also book an afternoon tea here in Scotland. And so basically, and it's a little bit later, so we could still do an early lunch. We're just looking for a gift in London as well. There's so many places to shop. Both these couple used to live in the UK. She's from America and she studied in Scotland, and they have this agreement where you can, if you studied in Scotland, the church, which is associated with the university, you can also use that church later on for like marriage and everything. So that's, I think, what has happened with this venue, because it is well known that you can do that with this venue. So they've resettled in Canada and they've been really enjoying it there. And so everyone has kind of had to move to Scotland. Nobody's really still living in Scotland that they know, so everyone has been traveling. So we just flew in last night. We're staying here for about a week or so, maybe a little bit longer. And yeah, it's going to be a really great time. Etiquette when it comes to a wedding. So what I would suggest is that when you are getting ready, getting dressed, you can wear something a little bit more revealing, something a little bit more scandalous. However, I would just keep in mind colors are the most important. And obviously you don't want to go really short with the dress or really low cut with the top. Nothing too over the top in terms of how revealing it is, just because you do want to keep it still respectful. But colours are all fine as long as you're not wearing white, unless the dress code states otherwise. Usually dress codes are formal, so men should be wearing long trousers, no jeans and shirts, and women the same, just with dresses, or you could wear even trousers are appropriate for a wedding. I saw some really smart trousers from Self Portrait and many other brands. And if you just pair it with the right top, then it looks just as elegant as a dress. So I'm just putting on these two products. I have this one, which I'm using as foundation. This is It Cosmetics in a slightly darker shade. And then I'm using my good old trusty Too Faced concealer. And this is coming out really nicely on the skin. I might just add a touch more of this one because I do love it. It does look very beautiful on the skin. Now let's talk about Bridgerton. Bridgerton is the show that everybody loves to hate. My journey watching this show has been a long one, basically because I struggled getting through watching the first season with a good 2 attempts, only making it to about episode 3 max before giving up on the franchise to find myself trying it again after a co-worker or a friend convinced me to do so. Needless to say, I managed to get through this year. I don't think it got any better for me. I definitely was just kind of whelmed, to say the least, after season 1. However, I did really enjoy season 2, and this is where it completely changed for me, and I did sort of put aside all the traditional costumes and the accuracy and the makeup and all the other little things that can kind of distract you, which we know that is not an accurate representation of the time period. However, the storyline has been something that's more captivating for most people. I reckon that the second season was a true love story, and I really did enjoy it. I got hooked on the characters and the tension. I felt like it was very realistic at the same time, just using the Tarte makeup palette. And I wish well for the characters in season 2, and I thought they were also beautiful to look at. The dynamic between Anthony and Kate as enemies turned to lovers was very tense right throughout the season, and even though you knew there was potential for them to get it on, it was very well played out and unexpected still towards the end. So after season 2, I figured that the series was something I could love more and decided to continue watching season 3, and that's where I really found myself disappointed. I found that the storyline with Penelope and Colin was just so unromantic.
I've never been kissed, and I'm not certain I ever will be. I could die tomorrow.
You're not going to die tomorrow.
But I could, and it would kill me.
You would already be dead.
I do not wish to die without ever having been kissed.
And almost forced positioning.
A sad, stupid girl who believes...
Let's not say such things.
It was very hard to watch. I was actually rooting more for Penelope to get with somebody else because I was not feeling the romance from Colin. It was almost like a desperation or a quick settle to convince himself to prove to others that he wanted to be with Penelope, and you kept seeing this throughout the season. Like anyone who says they've never dreamt to court someone, surely they wouldn't just change their mind after one kiss. That's definitely what I thought. The kiss was almost treated like a love potion, and Penelope was like a witch that cast the spell. Like it was definitely feeling like that, especially because she literally had to beg Colin for the kiss, and he was beyond hesitant in the moment.
Do you kiss me?
I have not read the books, but I do not believe that a friend or a love trope would work better with a stronger connection. It could have been more vivid in the books, but I don't think it translated well on the show, and I think maybe because they only had a few episodes that they could air and showcase it in, so that's probably why it didn't really translate as well. I know that the show is meant to be, based on fantasy and more than an accurate representation of the characters. Obviously incredibly inaccurate for the time of when it's supposed to be set, and the accents are all way off and the way that they talk is all way off. However, I feel like season 3 was just a little bit of a loose cannon with wardrobe styling. Costumes at some point looked like the actors were doing a press event off-set. I felt like it was very caricature of themselves. If you know your history with costume design, you will become a little bit more critical of what you see in period pieces, because you just kind of know what to expect and what is accurate and what isn't accurate, obviously. But yeah, it gets to a point where, it can feel like you're just watching a cosplay, and the hair being either very extremely over the top, false lashes, glitter and acrylic nails on set. It just It makes it a little bit more cosplay and just less realistic, because you just know that they didn't have access to these things back then, and there's nothing wrong with having like a beautiful gown with natural nails. Like, it was just not necessary. But needless to say, as I said, you know, it's not supposed to be fully accurate, so I did end up just ignoring how inaccurate things were. Sometimes when I start a series, it's all I fixate on and it can ruin it for me. So I have to really let go of that so that I can fully enjoy what I'm watching, or the potential of enjoying what I'm watching. But yeah, so I love season 2. So it's gone as a bit of a roller coaster. So season 1, not enjoyed all the way till the end. I just didn't vibe with it. Then season 2, absolutely loved it. And then season 3, back down again. So I'm very interested to see how this is going to play out in future. I am actually going to use a little bit of bronzer today. I got this new one from Chanel and it was highly recommended. So I'm just going to use a touch of this and see how we go. Love how it looks in the pan. If you're like me and you love watching historical storylines, beautiful costumes and yet juicy themes, then I have some other recommendations for you to try out. First of all, if you've never watched The Crown, then do yourself a favour and get into it. Particularly the first few seasons are my favourite. They are exciting yet inspiring, filled with real life scenarios and very accurate to the time that it is set in. They take place on real life events, and they are closest to our generation's history, and they don't hold back on the juicy tellings of what happened during that time of the story. The portrayal of certain characters in some series is so accurate. I feel like I'm watching characters back in time. I particularly love Claire as a young Queen Elizabeth, and Leslie Manville's performance as Princess Margaret in her last years. Josh O'Connor did a fantastic job as a young Prince Charles, and of course Elizabeth Debicki as Princess Diana. She was fantastic as well. I don't think that they could have found someone more perfect, to be honest. She was so like her in her mannerisms and even just her look. I love John Lithgow as Prime Minister and as Winston Churchill, but there are some characters that didn't really do it for me and almost ruined the season, which is Dominic West as Prince Charles. I just thought he had a complete different character, and it was almost like you were just watching somebody else play him. I think this was well reported as a fan unfavourite, but I also didn't enjoy Olivia Colman as the Queen. I just thought she was, maybe I've seen her into other roles, like she's a great actor, but I just didn't see her best fitting this role. I know she's such a renowned British actress that, you know, she would have been like one of the top picks, but I just didn't feel a Queen from her. Moving on, we have The Gilded Age. I did like this, however, I felt like it was taking so many themes from my particular favourite TV show, Downton Abbey, and they are written by the same person, but I just felt like it was the Americanized version of themes. You know, with the stuff in the kitchen, the dynamic and the romance, the in-house romance, and also, you know, how the house mistress seducing the husband and the daughter falling in love with someone from a more common, poorer background. I feel like these were all things that I saw in Downton Abbey, and I just felt like I was watching a less convincing version of it. But I did, needless to say, find that it was good, easy watching. I've only watched the first season, however, so I still need to get through a lot more. But yeah, it did bring in like a lot of insight on the Gilded Age of America and the characters that shaped the movement. The costumes, I believe, were very accurate, apart from the little things like the food, and when they were indulging in afternoon tea, it was a little bit too polished. Like the macaroons were not as accurate as what they would have been back then. They were very polished in like the modern version of macaroons. I think the inclusion of the main character that was black was inspiring. However, I feel like it was like we were experiencing events that were glazed over with like a more pleasant history rewriting, maybe even whitewashing, you could say, of the characters. I think things would be a lot more different, for instance, when a black person spoke to someone of a more prestigious class back then, or if they were in the household or asking for a favour, they would just be a lot more polite, and I just don't think that people still treated them as equals in a sense back then. But you know, needless to say, it's another thing that you can kind of sort of look over. However, I do think it is important to show how history was accurately in the past with these depictions, as it is deemed to repeat itself in a sense if we are not showing how things were, so that we are reminded and can always look back in remorse of how people were treated of different ethnicities and cultures in the past. My favourite show ever is Downton Abbey. I've binged all of these, I've seen all the movies, and I can truly not fault any of the characters or the production of this show. I just find that it's very engaging, it's got a lot of juiciness, it always keeps you guessing. It can be a little bit of a slower start, but then once you're hooked, you're really hooked on this one. So really do enjoy it. But if you haven't given that one a chance, then definitely give it a chance, because you'll find that the storyline is just very convincing and full of surprises. It is set in the British countryside, following the lives of a family of wealth and their kitchen staff maintaining their wealth in the manner and the changing of times. It takes you through the war, the Queen's coronation, industrialisation, and it's not short on drama, scandal, betrayal, or romance. I think it's a very realistic depiction, and it doesn't glaze through matters as well, so I do enjoy that. So anyway, whichever you choose to indulge in, please let me know if you have seen any of these. Do you like the Bridgerton franchise? And will you continue to watch the other seasons? I know I will, just because I've started it and watched all 3 now, so there's no point in just completely ditching it just because I didn't really enjoy the last season. I still think it is a good show. But yeah, let me know what you think. I'm nearly done my makeup, so I'm going to take out my hair, maybe put on a few lashes on, and then I will show a few clips from the wedding, and I'll see you in the next one.